The film opens with a somber piano piece as the camera glides through a meticulously crafted model of a house, revealing various rooms and settings. The model serves as a foreshadowing device, hinting at the meticulous, claustrophobic nature of the story to unfold. The camera finally focuses on a bedroom, revealing Annie Graham, the protagonist, waking up to the news of her mother's death. At the funeral, Annie delivers a eulogy for her estranged mother, Ellen, expressing complex feelings of resentment mixed with grief. She describes Ellen as a difficult person and reveals some troubling family history. During the service, Annie's son, Peter, is visibly uncomfortable and distant, showcasing the family's emotional disconnect. Charlie, Annie's daughter, is introduced as a peculiar child who is shown making strange clicking sounds with her mouth. Back at home, tensions arise as Annie struggles with her grief. The family dynamic becomes strained. Annie's husband, Steve, tries to mediate but seems overwhelmed. Charlie is shown to have a close bond with her grandmother, evidenced by a mysterious doll she made in Ellen's likeness. Annie attends a support group for grief and shares her feelings about her mother's death. She reveals that Ellen was deeply involved in cult-like beliefs and had strange rituals. This marks the first mention of the family's dark legacy. After the group session, Annie meets Joan, who claims to have lost her grandson. Joan offers comforting words and introduces Annie to the idea of communicating with the dead, suggesting she try a seance. Annie is skeptical but intrigued by the concept. Peter is seen preparing for a party at a friend's house, but Annie forbids him to go due to Charlie's presence. Peter goes anyway, leaving Charlie alone. At the party, Peter's friends mock Charlie, and Peter ultimately neglects her. Peter leaves Charlie alone at the party so he can get high with his friends in the room upstairs. In the meantime, Charlie has a severe allergic reaction to snacks at the party. Friends alert Peter about his sister, so he puts her in the car to take her to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, Peter drives while Charlie sticks her head out the window for fresh air. In a horrific turn of events, Charlie is accidentally decapitated by a telephone pole after Peter swerves to avoid a deer. This shocking moment marks the film's first major turning point, deeply affecting the family. The family is devastated by Charlie's death. Peter is traumatized and feels guilty. Annie becomes increasingly unhinged, blaming Peter for the accident. She attempts to reach out to him, but finds him distant and consumed by guilt. Annie begins to exhibit signs of extreme grief and paranoia. She visits Joan, who performs a seance, claiming she can communicate with Charlie. Annie becomes desperate to connect with her deceased daughter, leading to unsettling moments, including a vision of Charlie. Peter struggles with his guilt and the absence of Charlie. He has disturbing visions and panic attacks, feeling haunted by the loss. Annie's mental state continues to deteriorate, filled with anger and frustration towards Peter. Annie discovers more about her mother's past, including the cult connections. She finds disturbing photos of Ellen with Joan and realizes there were cult rituals surrounding her mother. This leads her to investigate further into the family's dark legacy. In a nightmarish sequence, Annie finds herself drawn deeper into the cult's beliefs. During a violent argument, Peter feels overwhelmed by his mother's erratic behavior. Annie's grief manifests in supernatural events, including hallucinations and violent outbursts. Annie descends into madness, leading to a climactic confrontation with Peter. She becomes possessed by a malevolent force and attacks him. Peter, terrified, runs from her, culminating in a surreal and horrific scene in which Annie is seen climbing on the walls of the house. Peter finds himself in a shocking and bewildering situation. He discovers a hidden room filled with occult symbols and the remnants of the cult. The dark truth about his family is unveiled, revealing that his mother intended for him to become a vessel for the spirit of his deceased grandmother. The film culminates in an unsettling and eerie climax. Peter, horrified and disoriented, ascends to the attic, where he finds Charlie's severed head and realizes the full extent of the family's generational curse. Joan and the cult members appear, welcoming Peter as the chosen one. The final shot shows Peter's expression as he becomes possessed, signifying the tragic culmination of the family's dark legacy. The screen fades to black, leaving the audience in a state of shock and contemplation.